5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Roskam, for your leadership on this issue. I also want to thank my colleague, Mr. Thompson from California, because this bill that we're talking about today is and has been rife with nothing but bipartisan support. And it's issues like this that we can work together to correct, no matter what the bill is, no matter what some of the other outlying issues of implementations of certain laws may or may not affect our constituents and how they do so. But the fact that we're trying to fix this once and for all for many in this country is a testament to what good happens here in a bipartisan fashion. I also want to thank the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Kevin Brady, my good friend, for his continued leadership on this issue and helping to make sure this bill comes back to the floor. This Congress has an opportunity to continue the bipartisanship I just talked about and promote religious liberty and fairness by passing the EACH Act, because the EACH Act modestly expands the religious conscience exemption under the Affordable Care Act to include individuals who rely solely on religious methods of healing. The current religious conscience exemption under the Affordable Care Act exclusively applies to only a few select faiths. As a result, some Americans, including Christian Scientists, are required to purchase medical health insurance that does not cover the health care of their religious practice and choice. They are therefore forced with the choice of violating their conscience by purchasing traditional health insurance or violating the law by not complying with any individual mandate. Under the EACH Act, applicants must attest annually that they are a member of a religious group, that they rely solely on a religious method of healing, and that they have not received medical health services during the preceding taxable year. Additionally, this is a very important point, Mr. Speaker, additionally, with the help of input from the American Academy of Pediatrics, the bill makes it clear that the legislation does not preempt any state laws requiring the provision of medical treatment for children. Further, if a parent needs to provide a necessary medical service to a child, doing so would not invalidate the individual's exemption. The EACH Act, again, is truly an example of bipartisan legislation with input from stakeholders that actually made it better. I'm proud to have worked with my friend and colleague, Mr. Keating, on moving this legislation forward. He knows this issue well. His home state of Massachusetts established a similar religious conscience exemption in state law more than 10 years ago. I also represent Principia College, a college for Christian Scientists in Elsa, Illinois, one that we have a few graduates of right here in Congress, including the last speaker, Mr. Lamar Smith. While working on this bill, I've heard from both students and professors from Principia on the importance of passing this legislation and what it would mean to their lives. One such student wrote, "I feel religious liberty is such a vital part of the American exceptionalism that permeates worldly thought, and the passing of this bill will only contribute to the commitment of our government to preserve that right. My family has paid excessive amounts for health care, among other expenses that we do not use due to our reliance on the Christian Science healing for prayer. I do not believe Christian Scientists should feel that they are being punished in some way for expressing their First Amendment right." Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to stand up here today for their First Amendment right. This legislation is about as straightforward as it gets. It's broadly bipartisan, promotes religious liberty and fairness, and it also saves the taxpayers money. The Congressional Budget Office estimated passing the EACH Act would save taxpayers an additional $31 million if signed into law. The EACH Act passed this House in both the 113th and 114th Congresses, but unfortunately it was held up in the Senate. It's time that Congress finally pass the EACH Act out of both chambers and send it to the President's desk for his signature. I urge a yes vote, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back his time, and the gentleman from Illinois reserves his time. Gentleman from California.